Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome in to the Gramlich and Mac Lane podcast, episode 269. Thank you so much for joining us. As the title says in this episode, we are going to dive into some more NFL Combine. The Combine is underway. We talked about the ACC defensive prospects on Monday. There are a lot more defensive guys than there are offensive guys in terms of big-time prospects, and even just prospects in general. And I don't know what that says about the league this year. I think it just happens that way sometimes, Mac. But before we get into all that, and we're going to get an update on Mac's budding XFL career, we have to tell the world about an exciting new partnership that we have. Mac, why don't you kick it off?
Come on, KG. We've been really excited about this. We've kind of been hinting at it. When we get to March, there's going to be some fun announcements, some really fun news, and it's finally time. We're here, March 1st, and can proudly and very excitedly tell you guys we've added to the family, and we're excited to welcome Ingles Markets and just a grocer that is so funny, that has been a part of my life for so long. Growing up in Knoxville, Tennessee, that was the grocery store that we went to right down the street. When I got to college, we lived off Issaquena Trail. For those Clemson people listening that know, that Ingles is right there. Provided a lot of resources for us, cookout-wise, eating-wise, all those different things. And then even fast-forwarding farther, we love to go to the mountains, when we kind of vacation. It's beach or mountains, one or the other. And the only grocery store in any mountain area ever is Ingles, and they always hammer it home. So such a great partner. We are super excited. Our girl Melissa is going to have a ton of input with this as well. She was instrumental in this process. Cannot thank her enough for everything that she did. And just excited to get some cool content. Ingles is doing a lot of fun things. They've done a lot of really cool things. We've got a little video here that we want to show you guys to kind of wrap up what they did in 2022.
Life ain't always easy, days will get tough. If it knocks you down, gotta keep your head up. Put your faith in something, find someone to lean on. We'll be there, like a friendly neighbor. We'll be there, 'cause we're better off together, like we always have and always will. We'll be there. We'll be there, like a friendly neighbor. We'll be there, 'cause we're better off together, like we always have and always will. We'll be there.
Love what Ingles is doing, and Mac, I echo the same. I mean, I've been to that Ingles on Issaquena many times. I love the Ingles salad bar. It is 100% one of my favorite things about Ingles. They have that fresh salad bar in the store, so whether you're going in there around lunchtime, you want to grab that and then also grab your groceries. They also, just the quality that you get from Ingles, the USDA choice prime beef are all cut in store. That kind of quality you're going to get at the deli and at the bakery and all those types of things. And they have everything you could need. It's very much a place where you can go in and get everything on your list. And
That's right.
They
Come on.
are they're in our footprint, right? They're in Georgia, they're in South Carolina,
Yep.
North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee. That's where we are, and that's where a lot of our listeners are. So shout out to Ingles for joining us and for partnering with us. We're also going to do some behind the scenes stuff, some videos of us going in Ingles, what we shop for, what we get. And some people, I guess, might care what I get, but they really care what Mac's going to get and what Mac's going to be throwing on the grill. That's why I mentioned the USDA choice beef, because Mac is ready to roll and ready to grill, as he always is. Mac, I know you are pumped.
That's right. I am pumped, KG, because, again, we have a great partner here, a provider of all things beef, and a lot of other great stuff, too. Like KG said, you're going to see us kind of documenting behind the scenes, really cool kind of personal videos, and just go shopping with us. We'll show you there, and if you have one in your area, I promise you won't be disappointed. And really love, all the philanthropic things that Ingles does, and big-time charity events, and we'll be involved with some of those throughout the year, too. So we are very excited about this partnership. The Gramlich and Mac Lane Show, presented by Ingles. You're going to be hearing that for a long time, so big shout-out to those guys.
That's right. More to come. We will be telling you about Ingles all the time, and you will love it. I promise, because they're the best. Mac, before we dive into some of these offensive prospects out of the ACC in the NFL Draft and the NFL Combine, some people might have noticed that you have been jet setting around the globe, mainly to Texas, which I love that for you.
Yeah.
And you have been the field analyst on quite a few XFL games so far, and you have a lot more to come. So my first question is, make sure you tell people how they can watch, when they can watch, all that. Also, you met The Rock. I freaked out. I saw this. I knew you, because the first thing I said to you when you said I'm doing XFL, I said, well, you get to meet The Rock. And you were like, I think so. And then that picture of you guys, low-key went viral. He retweeted it.
A little bit.
You guys are dapping each other up. Mac, you make The Rock look normal-sized, which is kind of crazy, but I need to know more about meeting The Rock.
Well, you've got The Rock, and then you've got the boulder right here. So, what do you want to do? Let me start with the XFL, because it's it's been a big honor and a privilege to do this. This is a league that, I know you guys have heard the stories if you see it on social media or watch some of the games about, player number 54. And, I truly think that was me, because I just was a guy that changed positions, kind of late in my career, and a position I never played before ever. And then to expect to go, to the NFL right away doing that is tough. And there's very few that are able to do so. I would have greatly benefited from a league like this, in the XFL, to have something where I could, do for a season or a couple of seasons to learn and just continue to get better as an offensive lineman that I just didn't have. And so, you had to move on, and nothing wrong with that. But, it's something that I think back and like, man, how different, could things have been if this existed for me? So I have a huge buy-in from that aspect, and think it's something that is very necessary and really needed. The NFL for a very long time was the only professional league that doesn't have some type of farm system, that doesn't have some type of developmental league. I hope that this can be sustainable. I hope that this can be a thing, and I think it will, because of the ownership, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But man, it's been a lot of fun, and seeing these players, these coaches, different rules. You guys have to check it out. We're on ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, and FX. That's kind of the big Disney bundle, kind of deal. All of them are on ESPN Plus if you have that. And you can check it out. It's, Saturdays and Sundays. Who would have thought, KG, I'd be calling professional football games on a Sunday. Never would have dreamed it. But it's been a lot of fun. A great team. I'm with Matt Berry, Joey Galloway, and Tiffany Blackman. That they make it easy for me. So it's been a ton of fun. And like I said, really cool league that we've needed for a while.
And it's so true, Mac. I mean, a lot of people might not realize that you were like right on the cut line to go to the Senior Bowl and things like that when you had graduated. And so to have the XFL, who knows? Now, it would have delayed your eventual path of working with me, because that would have happened regardless. But that would have been a very cool opportunity. And so I think it's awesome that they have you on these, because you can relate so much. And I just think it's such a cool concept. I mean, America loves football. We want football 24/7.
That's right.
And there's that void. So what did you and The Rock talk about? Like, let's get to the real situation here. Like, tell me more.
So for those that don't know, I mean, I love this guy. Just everything he does, his movies.
For those that don't know, global superstar The Rock.
Right. Dwayne Johnson. He's amazing. And it's been super fun to kind of watch how he's become one of the more popular, if not the most popular person in the world. I mean, he's like 350 million Instagram followers. I mean, it's just absolutely nuts. So once I knew that he was going to be a part of the league, I was like, absolutely. If I get this opportunity, it's a no-brainer, to do that, and hopefully get to meet him. You and I spoke about that for months. Is it going to happen? And I was supposed to. I can't remember if we told you guys this or not. I was supposed to meet him in Dallas for the little training deal.
The faded Dallas trip.
Snowed out. Yeah, the worst trip ever. And so he was there. I got delayed. I missed it. Couldn't see him. And I was just like, oh, my gosh, this is like worst case scenario.
Me too. I was very distraught.
That's right. Thank you. And then fast forward week one, literally 24 hours before the game, or before the first game, we hear, hey, the three owners are going to every single game. They're going to be there. They're going to do a little speed, this and that. And I was like, oh, my God, here it goes. This is it. It's going to happen. And, so long story short, see him on the field, doing our thing, go over, just speak to him. And it was so funny, KG. When you meet somebody, again, like hero, like this is a guy I look up to, things of that nature. Not like mentor, but just, whatever. And so I'm walking over there. I'm like kind of composing myself. Like, don't freak out. Don't ask for a picture. Do whatever. You just got to go. You just got to be cool. And I walk up to him and, shake his hand and say, DJ, thanks so much for, believing in this league, being a part of it. This is such an awesome thing, so much needed. And he goes into his spiel just about absolutely, love it, blah, blah, blah. And it was just so cool to spend, 45 seconds with a guy like that and didn't want to take too much of his time. He's doing his thing. But that was really neat. It was really neat. And to meet Danny Garcia, I mean, she's unbelievable. Her story, her, legacy, the things that she's been able to do, and then had a brief conversation with Jerry Cardinal as well, who is, ultra successful businessman. So that's why I think kind of tying all those things that I just said up together with the support of Disney and ESPN as well, I think there's some sustainability here. I think there's something where, this league can hopefully be around for a while and turn into, a true farm system for the NFL.
Mm-hmm. That's always the key with a young league. Do they have the financial backing? Doesn't matter what sport, what gender it is. Do they have the financial backing? And I think the XFL does. Mac, have you ever dapped up a bigger human?
In what sense of the word? Like physically large? Yes.
I just, obviously his width, but you did not look small next to him. Okay, so who's the bigger human that you've dapped up?
Well, like Jordan Cornette is obviously a big dude.
Okay, true.
And
but he doesn't have the width.
I've been around some freaky athletes, but in regards to like fame, no, like that's the top of the list. Like there's nothing. I don't know where I can go from that. I mean, I don't know what's better right now. Maybe one day, LeBron would be better. Probably Michael too, but those would be the only two. There is nowhere else that I can go with meeting somebody. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Actually, it's kind of weird.
It's only down from here, Mac.
I guess so. I got two hanging out there. We'll see if that ever happens.
And shout out to Cornette for getting a mention with The Rock. They're pretty much, same level of stardom.
Interesting how I did that. That's kind of crazy.
Same level of stardom. Well, okay. I just love that story, and I loved hearing. Mac. Okay, I've already heard this because the second Mac met The Rock, I was like, I need to know everything. But I think that people needed to know, so that's great. And obviously, you mentioned to him who I was, and obviously you plugged the podcast as any good.
You know what? I really was thinking about down the road, like if we got him on the pod, how cool that would be.
Oh my god!
I think there's a chance. We'll
Stop
see
it right now.
We'll see what happens.
Welcome to
he
our
followed me on
meeting.
Twitter. Breaking news. I don't know if I told you that. He followed me on Twitter. Pretty big deal. So we'll see. There's a direct line of communication now.
That is huge. Okay, stay tuned, y'all. The Rock coming soon. Coming soon to our podcast. Okay, Mac, what we are doing this podcast on are the ACC's offensive prospects. Now, again, we did defense on Monday. There's a lot of defensive dudes. There could be 5 guys in the first round from the ACC on the defensive side. On the offensive side, it's a little slimmer, Eric Beckley, but that's okay. We still have some big prospects to discuss. And when I say slimmer, I also mean smaller. The two main guys in this draft here for the ACC are 2 wide receivers, Zay Flowers and Josh Downs. Interestingly enough, they're about the same size, even though, and we'll start with Zay Flowers. We just saw a post on Twitter today about how he's put on like 13 pounds of muscle or something. He's up to 183 pounds, which is big for him and his size, because the question mark with both those guys is size. We have seen Zay Flowers late first round, even as high as 14th in some mock drafts. We'll see. Also, second round, I think Draft Network has a second round grade for him. You and I both love Zay Flowers. I think if you are an ACC fan, obviously if you're a Boston College fan, Zay Flowers is one of those guys you just enjoyed watching, even if he was torching your team. You're saying, wow, he was must-watch TV at all times. Everyone knew where the ball was going. His quarterback was getting mauled most of the time because their O-line struggled so much this year. And Zay Flowers still willed them to every win that they had and never opted out. None of that nonsense. You're never going to get that from Zay Flowers. So just from a combine perspective, Mac, we know his speed is one of his greatest attributes. I think the 40 is going to be really important. But the fact that he put on this weight, as long as it doesn't slow him down a little bit, which I don't think it will, that's a good sign for Zay. What do you think he can gain this week?
Yeah, I think exactly what you said there, that 40 time is going to be the biggest thing. I mean, I think that's what can take him, to closer to that 14th pick, because all the film is there. Everything you want to see, the catch radius, the 50-50 balls, going over guys, possession receiver, but also get it to him, at 2-3 yards. He can take it to the house at any point. So you see all those things on film. And then it's like, okay, will the combine results marry up to what we see? Is he going to run, a sub 4.4? If he does that, shut it down. I mean, he's going to be one of the first receivers taken, very early. And so I think that is obviously a big key, just showing his explosiveness, with other drills. And, one thing, just don't have any drops. Like, if you can go through the day perfect, man, you're in a really good spot, because, I think there were some flashes of that where, you might want to see a little bit more consistency. But, the biggest knock that I've read, or the most consistent, I wouldn't say it's the biggest because I don't know how true it is, they were questioning maybe the physicality playing at the pro level. And I just, I don't see that. I mean, he's a guy that I see him running through traffic. I see him getting off routes, making the things happen. And I think he's a solid pick, as solid as it comes. Got his degree from BC, obviously a very loyal guy, as you mentioned, and a heck of a player. No matter what, no matter who knows it, that he's getting the football, you can't stop it. And if you try to, he's going to make you look silly. So he's a guy that I think the biggest thing for him is going to be that 40 time.
Yeah, and that's really the name of the game for wide receivers in many respects, especially a smaller guy like Zay Flowers. So I'm excited to see where he ends up. I think he can, depending – I don't even know if Zay Flowers is a depending on the system guy. I think he's a slot guy that can thrive wherever he ends up. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, we've heard from Jeff Hafley. We've heard from so many different people about what a great overall leader and teammate and all that stuff is, and that's going to come through. Yep. And then you've got the speed that you have if you're a Zay Flowers. So I'm excited to see, and I really hope he ends up in the first round because I think that's where he deserves to be. Another guy, very similar stature. I have not seen on Twitter that Josh Downs has put on 13 pounds of muscle, but he may have. I don't know. Twitter's not the whole world. It's very possible. But the latest listing I could see for him was 5'10", 171. So similar to what Zay Flowers was listed at before this miraculous muscle game. And I didn't mean it like that. Ooh, I shouldn't insinuate that, Mac. I shouldn't insinuate that. That's not what I'm saying. Josh Downs, of course, from North Carolina. We've seen him get into that first round, seen him in the second round, has a second round grade. And I think with Josh Downs, Mac, and correct me if you see it differently. Again, these guys are very similar in size. To me, Zay Flowers has at least a perception of being a little more physical for his size than Josh Downs. Yep. But Josh Downs, I think I saw a stat where 72% of contested catches he caught. Like that's unbelievable. His playmaking ability is just off the charts.
He's just, I mean, really both these guys, as you said, I mean, they're so similar in the things they can do. You know, get the ball short, they can take it the distance, the yard after catch, the ability to make guys miss in a phone booth is just so apparent. And I think for Josh, you know, the biggest thing for him this weekend is going to be these interviews, you know, sitting down with people. Are they going to pull up some body language, which at times was maybe a little bit questionable if things weren't quite going, you know, their way or North Carolina's way? Can he, you know, prove that wrong? Can he answer for any of that, whatever it is? I think that's going to be maybe the most important thing because, again, at this level of investment, the higher you get drafted, the higher you get. They're going to scrutinize everything. I mean, they're going to find any reason not to draft you. And even worse, I hate this, but this is a very true thing. They'll put stuff out there so other people don't draft you so they can get you for less later in the draft. So it is a fascinating process that, man, you got to have answers. You got to be able to defend whatever and get through the process. And I think Josh will do that. You know, a lot of the different mocks that I've seen him really from that 23 to 30. So if he can sneak into that first round, man, how great would that be for him? I certainly think it's warranted, the type of player he is. And in today's NFL, we've seen, you know, the smaller guys have a lot of success. They're getting off the, you know, releases. They're getting by people. And again, just the yard, get the ball out quick. What can you do with it once you have it? All about matchups. I think both of those guys find their way in the first round.
All about matchups, all about speed. Speed is the name of the game as well for these wide receivers in the NFL these days. So I think both those guys, you're going to have to watch late in the night, round one,
Yep.
to see if they end up getting taken, and then if not, probably quickly in day two. Mac, we mentioned that this offensive side is a little slim. The other guys, so right now, the ACC doesn't really have any other offensive guys projected day two, second and third round, besides like Josh and Zay, see where they go.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my question to you. Besides Josh Downs and Zay Flowers, who are going to go early, of these other offensive prospects, who goes next, Mac? And I'm going to give you these options. Davis Allen, tight end out of
Yep.
Clemson. Joseph Ngata, wide receiver out of Clemson. Malik Cunningham, Louisville quarterback. Tyon Evans, running back from Louisville. Will Mallory, Miami tight end. Jordan McFadden, Clemson offensive line. Which guy is the next guy off the board for GM Eric McLean?
You know what? It's actually a guy you didn't mention. And
No.
I might have put this too small in the font, and that's on me. But it's going to be Matthew Bergeron. You know, the offensive
Bergeron,
lineman
of course,
from
of course.
Syracuse. That's on me.
Yes.
That's on me. I
That's
think
true.
he's going to go.
That's true.
I think that KG, he might have a shot at sneaking in the first round too, because people are love with his athleticism. They love his
Good
ability
point.
to get out in space. And I think his ability to play multiple positions is really attractive. Had a really good Senior Bowl. You know, Jim Nagy was very excited about what he saw from him. He posted this picture, I think from the game, not from practice. And he said, you're looking at 5 starting offensive linemen in the NFL.
That's right. I
Next
saw
year,
that.
not years to come, like right now. And Matthew was the left tackle there. So I'm excited to see him. You know, his physicality is very nice at the point of attack. His length is something that people are going to really like. But to me, it really is that versatility. It's the fact that he can play tackle, he can play guard. That's what you need. You know, availability is the number one need. The next need is what can you do? Can you do more, you know, for our team? I think people are going to fall in love with that. And then I think, you know, he's a guy that right now it looks like it's pretty much set that he's going to be a round 2 guy. Will be fascinating to see if he just dominates the combine, puts up a really good pro day. Does he somehow sneak into that first round?
Mac, I forgot an offensive lineman. It's a tragedy.
Par for the course, KG, for everybody, not just you. XFL games, I'm dealing with Joey Galloway talking junk. I'm about to climb up to the booth and dump him on his head. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Step on him. You're exactly right, Mac. Bergeron has been ranked very highly. Of course, Jim Nagy had a lot to say about him, so you can go listen to that episode too. And he's a guy to keep an eye on out of Syracuse. It's a very good point. So we don't want to forget Matthew Bergeron. In addition to Matthew Bergeron.
All right, now your question.
After Bergeron, who's going next?
You know, I think it's still a guy off your list. I think it's probably going to be Izzy. I think Izzy Abanikanda is going to go pretty early.
Ooh,
I think that he is going to show some real speed at the combine. Obviously, his production has been nuts. He can do it in an outside zone scheme, an inside zone scheme, power, whatever you want to run. He's just a dog. He's just a running back. I mean, he can do it all, and he shows that versatility catching the football. If you guys remember the things that he was able to do out of the backfield as a receiver.
Oh, yeah.
Again, the versatility piece, it's so important. So I think what will really impact him is that 40, but then also the drills afterwards on the field where he's showing his catching ability. He's showing his change of direction, the quickness. And he's not a huge guy, but he's rocked up and a hard guy to tackle. So I think that those kind of on field drills, along with a nice 40 time, I think that could set him up very nicely. I think 4th round is maybe the thing there, but again, who knows if a couple of guys go earlier, that kind of moves up the entire position. Does he sneak up around earlier?
Could he end up day 2? I think that'll be the question with him. And the question with a lot of these other guys towards the bottom. And Abanikanda, you can't argue with his production, my goodness.
Right.
And he showed a lot of that. I know he was injured in that early, I think, the West Virginia game. But then coming back from that, he showed some durability there because there were times where Pitt gave him the ball like 30 times.
I mean, he became
and you
the
knew
offense.
what was coming.
Yeah.
You knew what was coming. I know we've got some Clemson fans listening here. Talk to me about Davis Allen and Joseph Ngata. And Ngata is so interesting to me. Davis Allen, I very much get the appeal. He can do both. He's a guy that's going to be able to block.
Right.
He's not just a pass-catching tight end, and he comes from Clemson. That helps him. Ngata is such a fascinating prospect. Came in 5-star, all the accolades. Got hurt every season, basically.
Yeah.
showed some flashes. If he's healthy and can go to the combine, I think he's going to impress, but you've got to have durability questions with him.
Yeah, and I think I'll touch on all three. I'll talk about Jordan McFadden here too, kind of the three Clemson guys on the offensive side of the ball. With Davis, I think that, man, he's just been so impressive. Steady Eddie his whole career, flashes of brilliance athletically. I mean, jumping over guys, hurdling guys, juking them out. I mean, it's weird. Again, as you do this research and you kind of see these like scouts or whatever for these different publications and their kind of knocks on guys, I keep seeing, not the most athletic. And I'm like, I mean, he's pretty decently athletic for 6'6", 255.
Where would that come from, Mac?
I don't know. I mean, he looks good to me. He looks like a really good tight end that, as you mentioned, again, put his hand in the dirt. He's going to block. He's a very good blocker. I think multiple Clemson coaches have said the best blocking tight end that they've had kind of in the Dabo Swinney era there. He's got a real good chance, to be early on day 3 and to be a guy that has a very nice NFL career. He's a smart player. Will be interesting to see, again, how does he test? Does he run a, sub 4.7, 4.6? Can he impress there? I think his jumping ability is going to be nice. We've seen some really nice high point, catches going up and making, again, jumping over guys. So I think you're going to see that explosion match up with the testing. And God, I have no idea what to expect. I really don't. I don't know.
Well, that's kind of his whole career in a nutshell.
It is. And I think that his better days are ahead of him, which is great. I think that there's still room to grow and to get better. You mentioned the health. That was one of his biggest goals this last season. And he was able to do it. He was able to finally stay healthy an entire season. I really thought there was a shot that he comes back just to be with Cade Klubnik for a full season, to be with a quarterback that, man, he can get you the ball in a catchable way and just make you look so much better. We'll see what he can do. I think the 40 will be very important. He's a big guy. He's a big dude. He's going to have to run a nice time or, you're just going to slide. That's just the nature of the beast there. And, then you look at Jordan McFadden, a guy who a little bit undersized for a tackle. I think he slides in, to the guard position from day one. Really thought Clemson may even try to do that this year. They didn't. He was an All-American caliber guy at left tackle for a majority of the season. Played through some injuries that I think a lot of people kind of overshadowed what he's done because he's been such a great player for Clemson for so long. I think he's going to test really well. He got the number 1 rating. This kind of NFL next gen things that they're doing where they're kind of anticipating what guys are doing. He got the number 1 rating for the guard. In that type of score. So. Can he kind of add that up and really be that guy that, again, the versatility piece, if he has to play tackle, can he do it? Has he practiced snapping at all? Does he move inside to center? Will certainly be something interesting and that people need to watch.
For sure. I think those 3 are going to be very interesting to see who ends up. Of those 3 Clemson guys, would you say Davis Allen probably gets picked first? Yeah,
I think he is the kind of lock there offensively, for Clemson and being the highest draft pick there.
Yeah, we talked about all the defensive guys Monday. Those guys are going way,
They'll be going. They gone.
They gone. Malik Cunningham is another guy. And I remember when Greg McElroy came on with us last summer, and he correctly predicted UNC would win the Coastal. He also said that Malik Cunningham should be in the Heisman discussion. Now, of course, that didn't really play out. He got it hurt. I mean, injuries were there. Yeah. So you have the durability piece as well with Malik Cunningham. But the issue with Malik, and I think right now I've seen a lot of undrafted free agent. We'll see if he gets drafted. That'll be interesting. But just proving he can sit in the pocket and throw it, right?
Yeah.
Because his knack, his bent is to get out and run. We talked with Scott Satterfield about that last year. And he may end up being one of those guys that was a dynamic collegiate quarterback, but just can't translate to the NFL necessarily.
Yeah, I'm going to be very interested just to see that because I think he's going to blow people away with his numbers, at the combine, his speed. I mean, he easily could be a 4.3 guy, in that 40. He's just so explosive and electric when he gets out in space. And then I'm interested to see 2KG just in a different system with better receivers. Like Louisville has been struggling to have consistency at that position. If you remember, 2-3 years ago when he had Tutu Atwell and Fitzpatrick, man, he was balling. I mean, he was killing guys and just couldn't quite get that consistency after they left. And as you said, this past season really, just dealt with some silly injuries, like random. Like he would just
like
hurt his wrist, hurt his hand, hurt his
yeah.
ankle. And just like these petty things that add up, and you just can't do your job because you're a quarterback. You need that right hand. And, man, it really hurt him. So I think that it will be interesting to see if he gets a shot, what can he do? Because I think he's an absolute weapon. I mean, you look at his ability for even just packages, if we don't think that he can take the next step as a full-time guy, as a starter, you got to get him on the field and just figure things out. Because at the end of the day, we're about scoring points. I think the NFL is moving more and more to this creativity where, shoot, we'll find a spot for you. We'll find something that you can do. And I think he certainly can be that guy. When I look at passing, consistency was kind of a deal for him, kind of a problem, throughout college, as we kind of mentioned. The short to intermediate was what was so weird. You would think that you'd have more success there, but he's just got to lock in and really get that going. And I'm sure he has with, different training and locking in. But again, the biggest thing I'm interested in, once he does get that opportunity, are the guys better than what he was dealing with at Louisville that make more consistent plays, a la he gets a real chance here.
And what I find with Malik Cunningham, too, I was just thinking about this. If he gets drafted, he will be the only ACC quarterback taken this year.
Crazy.
And we talked about how this was the league of quarterbacks. The reason why is you've got a lot of young superstars who aren't eligible yet. Drake May comes to mind. But also, you had a lot of quarterbacks choose to stay in college because of that NIL money and the ability to, make some money while you're there. Sam Hartman very well could have gone to the league. He chose to go to Notre Dame. You've got Devin Leary, Brennan Armstrong. Tyler Van Dyke didn't have the season he wanted, so he came back. So it's not – you have the quarterbacks in the league.
Right.
It's just a lot of them are choosing to stay, which is very interesting.
It'll be interesting to see, and that's a great point, because I just remember thinking at the beginning of the season, man, we're going to have some nice QBs get a shot here, and they all literally decided to stay. And it's a crazy thing when you look at it, just how things pan out. And looking at a couple of these other guys, I think Sean Tucker has a real opportunity. He's getting to show that track speed. Excited to see him get out and run. A couple of offensive linemen, Carter Warren from Pitt is big. We just need to see that durability piece. Asim Richards, I think, has a chance to go in the 4th round from UNC, offensive lineman there. He's a nasty player. He gets after people, really, does the job and, finishes well. A.T. Perry and Wicks, I think are two guys that they're 40 times going to be really important. A.T. Perry, obviously a big basketball player type guy. If he can run in the 4.5s, man, he's got a real shot to be freaky. I think that people will salivate over the things that he can do, the ball skills that he has. And then probably lastly, Will Mallory, I think, has a real shot too. Just a solid tight end coming from tight end U of Miami, the great players that they produce, especially recently. I could see him jumping into the 5th round, but have to run well. It's all about that. Those numbers, when you're on the edge, you're a tweener guy, man, you need everything that you possibly can to help you solidify, that status there.
That's right. And maybe, we were ragging on the offense a little bit. They just don't have the high-level prospects at the top that the defense does this year from the ACC, but there's a lot of depth there in the middle. And if guys impress at the combine, we could see some of them jump up. So a lot of names we have to keep an eye on, Mac. There's no doubt about it.
That's right. And I think what also is interesting just for people as, your team and your maybe your NFL team, and you're looking at some of these guys, the draft is won on day 3. Like, that's where you go and get these guys, you develop them. There are very few teams that are just loaded with, first-round talent that actually go and perform and win. You look at how guys can be drafted, how they can get, their chance. I look at the Chiefs, a great example. I mean, they're starting running back, 7th round pick out of Rutgers. Like, come on. That guy going into camp, they probably thought was no shot, but he just took most of his opportunity and is a Super Bowl champion. So this is going to be fun, KG. I cannot wait to see these guys. We're going to have a massive interview coming out next Monday. KJ Henry is going to join us and talk about his experience. Can't wait to catch up with him, one of our all-time favorites, and we'll have a lot of fun stuff there. But that's it from this episode, a great one. Gramlich and Mac Lane, presented by our friends over at Ingles. Excited to say that time and time again. And again, appreciate their belief in us and the confidence to keep this thing rolling. So if you guys could go over to YouTube, if you're not here already, mash that subscribe button, follow us. It's been so fun to see the growth over there. We're going to have some really cool video elements. You guys can't miss it. You're going to want to check those out. Also, the OGs, go over to Apple Podcasts, rate, review, subscribe. It's so fun to hear from you guys over there. But until next time, we'll see y'all.